Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to do another brewery who I've never tried anything from. We're sticking to Sweden and we're going to go to Göteland and we're trying my first beer from Bustad Brewing. So this one is called the Bound for New England. As the name suggests, it's a New England IPA and it comes in at 6.5% ABV. So this was yet another one of the beers that I picked up in the local and small assortment release on the 2nd of May 2019. So I got some really good beers in that, and it is always worth trying these small Swedish breweries because some of them can throw up some real gems actually. So really looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I'll do in the future, hopefully from Bustad Brewing. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Bustad Brewing then. So Bustad Brewing are based in a little place called Lidköping in Västra, Göteland, on the banks of the Vänern lake actually. And Vänern and Vättern are the two big lakes that you always see on the Swedish map for those of you watching outside of the country. But you can find this place to the kind of northeast of Gothenburg actually, and a little bit along to the east from Trollhättan as well. So the brewery itself was founded back in 2017 by David Bustad, who of course it takes its name after, and he had previous experience of working at Bryggeriet in Gothenburg and also at All In Brewing, not the same one that you'll find going around Sweden, but this is another company in Brisbane in Australia. But he started the company as a brewery of 400 square metres with a restaurant of 100 square metres, and from the start they had a 1500 litre brewery with 8 tanks, so this was giving them quite a large initial capacity of 300,000 litres, but they started brewing around 40,000 litres of beer per year when they got going in 2018, and their beers entered Systembolaget in 2019 as well. So these guys are a fairly recent addition to the Systembolaget range. So yeah, as I say, the very first time I'd seen one of these beers, I didn't recognise the name, and that was one of the main reasons that I picked these guys out of the list. I always try and go for the breweries that I don't normally recognise. So yeah, it should hopefully be another interesting beer. I've always had some really interesting things out of these local and small assortments. You always find really nice little small breweries that do some random things. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery for the moment. If you want to learn a little bit more, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery. According to Untappd and Rate Beer and stuff, they do only have a couple of different beers that they've released at the moment. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer then and see how we get on. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. So there you can see, nicely presented this one. I do like the train artwork on this. I always used to love trains when I was younger. I do have one of these big model train sets with all the different kind of British trains. I always had them in wartime black because I liked my train set to have a kind of World War II theme. But yeah, nicely presented beer. As you can see, there is the Bustad Brewing Company's symbol. That's also up here on this side of the beer. But like I said, this guy comes in at 6.5% and it is a New England IPA. They've also got their own bottle caps as well, which I do like. I always love it when breweries have their own bottle caps because I can add them to the collection. So yeah, it looks really nice. So without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we will get on with the tasting. Yeah, nice little bit of smoke on the opening, and we'll get it out and into the glass, and you can smell some of these lovely big hoppy notes on this one just as we open the beer up. This one's actually quite dark for a New England IPA. That's kind of cool. So yeah, so this one's interesting. I mean, in terms of its colour, I would say that this is one of the darker New England IPAs that I've come across. It's a very dark kind of blood orange, red kind of thing, and it is one of the less hazy ones that I've come across too. So as you can see though, this beer is quite a dark blood orange colour. There's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say cream coloured head on this one rather than being perfect white. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. Just as we move the beer around a little bit, this one you can really get some nice sort of orangey aromas coming out of this one. I do wonder if there's maybe a bit of mosaic or Amarillo in here. As I always say, I like playing guess the hops with these beers when you don't know exactly what's in them. But yeah, it looks very, very nice. You can smell some of these lovely fruity aromas just coming off this as we move it around. But a really nice looking beer. Not sure how well you can see that, but there's not as much transparency to this one. Or there's more transparency to this one, I should say, than you might find with some other New England IPAs. But looks the part, as I say, a little bit darker than most New England IPAs that I've come across. So let's have a taste of this one and see how we get on. Or let's have a look at the aroma first and see how we get on. Oh yeah, that smells really nice. So to me, it has a nice bit of tropical fruit to it, but mainly, I want to say that it's mainly an orangey aroma that comes out of this one. So yeah, the first thing you're going to notice about this beer is the sweet juicy fruits, and for me it really is a more orangey note that has this. That could mean that it's Amarillo or Mosaic probably. There could also be a Zaka and Mandarina Bavaria, those are the other ones, but there's something in my head that's saying that this might be a more... There's just something that popped into my head about Amarillo with this beer. And it's a hop that used to be very, very popular, but it's dropped in popularity a little bit since Mosaic has come out. But yeah, with this beer, you can definitely smell a nice smooth bready base to it, a little bit of a biscuity, kind of caramelly sort of thing going on as well. You can pick up some of the oaty smoothness in it too. On the green side of the hops, there's a little touch of earthiness in there. That could be a signal for Mosaic, but you've also got some nice floral notes in there. But I would say that overall, the green side of the hops really lean towards the more grassy side of things. So yeah, nice little bit of grassiness to this beer as you go through it. But yeah, it's a really nice juicy fruity note, this beer. I would say there's definitely orange in here. I'm pretty determined about that. It's definitely orange. There is a little bit of a sort of mango-y passion fruit kind of thing in there as well. I don't think it's Simcoe that's in here. There could be... I mean, if there is passion fruit, it's either going to be Simcoe or Galaxy, but I do think there is a little touch of passion fruit in there. And there's some of the more juicy tropical fruits like mango or something like that. There could be a little bit of citra in here, giving it that, because it does have a good little bit of complexity to that tropical side of things. So yeah, I do wonder if it's a little bit of citra and Amarillo or something that's in here. Pardon me, sorry. Losing my voice. But yeah, it's a really nice combination of things, this beer. It's a really nice juicy but oily juicy kind of fruity New England IPA. The malt base does have a little bit of a caramel sweetness in it, which I quite like, and the green side of the hops really lean towards the more grassy side of things. But yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But without further ado, let's have a taste of this one. This one is the Bound for New England, a 6.5% New England IPA from Bustad Brewing in Lidköping, just on the banks of Vänern in Göteland in Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Yeah. Now, this one is pretty nice. To me though, this beer, in terms of the style, to me it comes across as more of some kind of hybrid between a New England and a West Coast IPA. It doesn't quite have the kind of the sort of creaminess and things that you would normally get from the New England IPA, but in fairness, it does have some of the elements that you'll get from some of the old school New England IPAs like Heavy Topper or something like that. It does have a little bit more of a kind of grainy, biscuity, caramelly sort of thing to it. It doesn't have the IBUs, it's got the more creamy beer IBUs to it, but it does have a little bit of a kind of, it does have a little bit of that nice caramelly and biscuity sort of thing, which is good. I like how this one's balanced. I mean, for me, this is a really nice, it's a really nicely well balanced beer. It's got everything, it's got elements of the West Coast, it's got elements of the New England thing, so let's try and just break this down so you can see where I'm coming from. So in the middle of your palate, you can feel that nice sort of pale malty quality, that just blankets the middle of the tongue. On top of that, and as you go further into the aftertaste, you can feel the slightly bigger, smoother wheaty malts in there, and you've also got some of the creamy notes in the middle of the palate too, which really push their way out. But in the centre of your tongue, you've got this nice caramelly note. The caramel is almost a little bit toasty, and you start to notice that. You've seen how long it was since I took a sip. You start to notice that in the centre of your palate. The further that you go into it, you do get a little bit more of a toasty quality. But as you move out from the very centre of your palate, the beer does become a little bit more kind of biscuity, rather than being straight up caramel sweetness actually. But yeah, the way the malt base goes together in this one is nice. I was saying that it had a little bit of graininess to it. I think maybe that isn't quite the right descriptor, to be honest. It's nice. It's just a very nice, well kind of blended malt base on this one. But I think it works really, really well. So yeah. This one for me, it has a hybrid. The malt base in this one is definitely a hybrid between the New England and the West Coast IPA, and I like that actually. I really like how this one works. It's quite unique in that regard actually. Otherwise, I mean, the hoppy side of things, it really leans towards the New England side of things rather than the West Coast side of things. So in the back corners of the palate, then you get a little touch of an earthiness there. That does make me think there's mosaic in here, and as you come further forward, that earthiness just smooths out. You get a little bit of a floral aromaticity around the front corners of your palate, then round the very front curve of the tongue. It's just a little, pardon me, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say. Yeah, and behind the front curve of the palate, that's where that nice oily bubble, where all those juicy fruity esters start to come out is. So for me, again, this one, it really is very orangey, to be honest with you. And I was picking up a bit of tropical fruit in the aroma. There's maybe a teensy little bit of that here. There maybe is a little slight bit of mango or something like that. There could be a little bit of citra in here, but really, for me, this beer leans towards the orangey side of things. I do suspect there's mosaic in this one. Amarillo, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if the orange is oily enough for Amarillo, but it's definitely got that nice slightly juicier, lighter tangerine notes to it, which to me makes me think mosaic. There's also something in my head about this one that it almost has a little bit of a noble hop, German kind of quality to it. That could indicate, it really could indicate Mandarina Bavaria, because regardless of what German hop you have, if it's high alpha acid, although the Mandarina Bavaria from memory is only around 8% compared to the 12, 13, 14 that you can get from the American and Aussie and New Zealand hops, it really does, regardless of what German hop you get, it always retains a little bit of that distinctive noble grassiness kind of thing, the sort of grassy noble character. There is a little bit of an almost slightly German quality in this beer for me, so I think they might have used a German hop in here at some point, just because of the way the floral and grassy parts of the beer go together. But to me, really, it's a big orangey note, but right on the tip of your tongue, there's a little touch of blueberry, which is one of the complexities that you can get from mosaic. But yeah, that's a really nice beer. That I do like how this one goes together. It's definitely different from the other New England IPAs that I've had in recent times, but it's very well balanced. That's one of the things. It's really a really nice, balanced and easy drinking beer. If you want the New England IPAs to be a little bit sweeter and more caramelly than you're getting them, then this is the ideal beer to go for. It's possible to argue about the style of this beer in two ways. You could either argue that it's a little bit more similar to the original New England IPAs, like the Heady Topper and things like that, with a slightly less creamy malt base and a slightly sweeter, almost a bit grainy malt base, or you can say that it's a kind of hybrid between the West Coast IPAs and the New England IPAs. I'm not sure exactly which one I'm not actually sure which camp to set my tent up in, to be honest with you, but what I can tell you is that it's a nice beer, this one, and I wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. It's very sessionable, and as I say, I've been missing the West Coast IPAs, so it kind of bridges the gap for me a little bit, this one. So thumbs up to Bustad Brewing for this one. It's got a nice orangey quality to it as well, and as I've told you on the channel before, I do love my big orangey hops like the Azaka Pacifica from New Zealand as well, and the Mandarina Bavaria. I really do enjoy those nice big orangey hops. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say that this beer is it's definitely mid-bodied. Carbonation's really smooth. It has a more of an oily mouthfeel, this one. It's nowhere near as creamy as you're going to get from some of the other New England IPAs, but there is a little element of that in there. Nice balance between smoothness and sweetness in the malt base. Nice little bit of a hoppy character as well. I think we're talking around 30 IBUs in this one, maybe a little touch more, 35 or something like that, but you've also got a nice big oily, juicy, fruity component to this one. But everything in this beer goes together really quite nicely, and I have to say they've done a good job of this. So I'll be keeping an eye for other releases from this brewery in the future, and I'll see if they've got something on the dark side of the spectrum. As I always say, when you review something from a brewery, you do want to have a go at something from the darker side of the spectrum and from the lighter side of the spectrum, and that gives you a full idea of the scope of their brewing qualities. But yeah, thumbs up to Bustad Brewing for this one. It really is, they've done a nice job of this, so hopefully they've got some other good beers that I can try for you as well. So let's leave it at that. This one was the Bound for New England, a New England IPA coming in at 6.5%. Basically has a little bit of West Coast and New England character in the malt base, which I thought was really nice. Leans towards the orangey side of things, but yeah, a nice beer, and I wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So as always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Bustad Brewing as well, and I'm sure I'll return to these guys in the fairly near future. Until the next time, stand just now, check out my social media, and I will catch you guys later. The Bound for New England IPA from Bustad Brewing in Lidköping, Göteland here in Sweden. Slanja, skål.